Luke's Gospel, chapter 8, verse 22. Now it came to pass on a certain day that he went into a ship with his disciples. I want to say, thank God I'm a Christian. When I say that, I'm talking about one of those old born-again, blood-washed, Bible-saved Christians. I say it that way because we live in a day where Christian is used to describe any religious person, no matter what they truly believe or how bad they behave. Christianity has become so watered down, it's become so weak in our day that not only the world around us, but even some people who I believe are saved, who attend Bible-believing, Bible-preaching churches, are either confused or have no clear understanding of what a real Christian is. As we come to this text, we have Luke's account of Jesus calming the waters. But as I look at this great miracle, I see much more than just Jesus calming the waters. I believe we can see the Christian life on display. We can watch the Christian life unfold before our very eyes. We are given in these verses a clear look at the Christian life. And for just a few minutes this morning, I want to preach on that thought. A clear look at the Christian life. On a certain day, the Bible said, Jesus went into a ship with his disciples, and he said unto them, I want you to notice first of all the truth of a Christian life. He went into a ship with his disciples, and he said unto them, watch this little phrase, let us. The truth of a Christian life is, it is a relationship. It is not just knowing about the Lord. It is not just knowing about the story of Calvary, but it is when we enter into a relationship. I'm glad I can tell you this morning that I know the Lord. But better than that, I can tell you that the Lord knows me. Every valley I walk through, every mountain I climb, every giant I face, every problem I have, I'm glad I'm not in this thing all alone, but I've entered into a relationship, and no matter what comes in the child of God's life, it is let us go forward, let us march on. I'm glad he promised, I'll never leave thee nor forsake thee, but it is a relationship. I'll just say this right quickly. I entered this relationship through the bloodshed at Calvary in repentance and faith in an old-fashioned altar. I've entered into a relationship with him. True Christianity is a relationship. But he says unto them, let us go to the other side of the lake. I not only see the truth of Christianity in its relationship, but I see it in its responsibility. See, the Lord told them, let us go over unto the other side of the lake. Now, I live in a day where even folks who don't even claim to be a Christian are good at telling you what a Christian ought to be. Well, if you was a Christian, this is what you'd do. If you was a Christian, this is how you'd handle it. Well, I'm going to clear it all up today from the King James Bible. I'm going to tell you what your responsibility is as a Christian, to do exactly what he said, exactly when he said it. The only responsibility these disciples had was to go over onto the other side of the lake. They didn't have to explain to the crowd on one shore what they were doing. They didn't owe the crowd on the other shore any explanation. They didn't even have to understand what the Lord was up to. The only responsibility that you and I have as born again children of God is to answer to him, to do what he says. I'm sick and tired above my eyebrows, filled up with everybody running around talking about the will of God like it's some kind of hide and seek game. When I was a little boy growing up, we played a game. You'd hide something, and then you'd walk around. They'd say cold, cold, cold. Now you're getting warm, 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 and the closer you got to it, the hotter you got until you found it. And we got a lot of people going around saying, well, I'm seeking the will of God, like God's playing hide and seek with it. But I'm telling you, if you find difference, you show me. But I can't find anywhere in this King James Bible where it ever tells us as Christians to seek the will of God. It tells us to do the will of God. I may not not understand what we're going to do when we get to the other side of the lake. I may not have all that figured out, but he said go over, and we're going to get in the ship, and we're just going to go over because my responsibility is to him. Truth of the Christian life is seen in a relationship, seen in our responsibility. It's seen in our response. He got in the ship with them and said, let us go over to the other side of the ship. Verse 22 said, and they launched forth. They just did it. I mean, they didn't ask any questions. They didn't ask him what he was up to. God help us and deliver us. As these weak-livered children of God we are, we expect God to explain everything he's doing in our life, show us 10 years down the road, and make sure, I'm telling you right now, God's not in that business. He's just going to give you enough command. He's just going to give you enough light for what he wants you to do right now. And God help us to quit questioning, quit complaining, quit worrying about what's going on. And when he tells you to do something, just launch forth. Just get with it. Just do what he said. That's the truth of a Christian. You want to look like a Christian? Just follow the will of God. Just do what he says when he says. Do it how he says. Don't worry about what the world thinks. Don't worry about what everybody else in the church thinks. Just when he says go over, just launch forth. Just get with it and give it everything that you have. The truth of the Christian life. We continue on through these verses, we'll see the troubles of a Christian life. Now look at verse number 23. But as they sailed, he fell asleep. I'm going to just stop right here and let you know, he knows exactly what's coming up. Hadn't got him worried one bit. He knows exactly where you are. He knows exactly what you're going through. If you don't remember anything else today, you remember this. The Christian life is not a playground, friend. It is a battlefield, and you will face trouble. And as they sailed along, Jesus is so worried about the trouble they was going to face, he went in the hinder part of the ship, put his head down on a pillow, and went to sleep. You say, this giant's a-killing me, preacher. I'm telling you, I ain't going to get through this storm. This is the worst problem I ever had. I got news for you. If we could rip the heavens open, look up into the throne room, I promise you Jesus ain't a pacing back and forth wringing his hands. He ain't a biting his fingernails off to the elbows. He ain't a drinking Malox and a eating tubs. He's still high and lifted up. He's still ruling and reigning. It may have you scared to death, but it ain't bothering him one bit. He fell asleep. The Bible said as they sailed, they was doing exactly what he told them to do. He just fell asleep. Said, I ain't worried about it. Continue with me. As they fell asleep, there came down a storm of wind. I hate to tell you this. I wish I could tell you what them TV and radio preachers tell you, but if you serve God, I promise you the devil ain't going to take it sitting down. You say, well, he ain't giving me any trouble. Good sign you ain't giving him any. But you start serving God and sell out, and there's a storm of wind going to come down. That little old lake was down in between those hills. And all of a sudden, out of a blue sky, that wind could rush over those hills and turn that lake upside down before they knew it. Now, have you ever noticed most of the problems in the Christian life, they come without any warning? You're just sailing along, you and the Lord. It's going so good, he's just taking a nap. He ain't worried about, must be going to be all right because he went and laid down. He ain't out here to fight no devils. He ain't out here to calm any seas. He's taking it easy. Must be going to be smooth sailing from here to the other side. Then all of a sudden, here comes trouble. It came down a storm of wind. The troubles of the Christian life. Here's my main point. Don't miss it. Watch verse number 23. Watch what the Bible said. There came down a storm of wind on the lake. This phrase, watch your Bible, what's this phrase? And they were filled with water. That phrase, when I studied in this text, looked like it was written in 6-inch letters. It didn't say the boat was filled with water. It said, and they were filled with water. I believe what happened, that storm of wind come over those hills, run down on that lake, down this below sea level, ran down on that lake, stirred that lake up, the waves started crashing, the wind was blowing, water started coming in the ship, it began to soak them. Hadn't soaked the Lord, he's still back there asleep. This is not the Lord's storm, this is the disciples' storm. It soaks them on the outside, but the Bible said they were filled with water. I believe it's choking it down the throat. It's going up their nose. It had the ears clogged up. What I'm trying to tell you is there's right in the boat. There's right in the center of God's will. There's right there with Him as close as anybody could be. And they're still drowning. Your troubles can get bigger than you. Don't let the devil fool you. Just because you're in the center of God's will doesn't mean you won't have trouble. Doesn't mean it won't be bigger than you can handle. The Bible said that they were filled with water. I know you may believe it. We'll just have to disagree. I can't find in the Bible where it says God won't put more on you than you can bear. I hadn't found it. I've been in situations where I didn't know what I was going to do, how I was going to get through it. My baby boy Bryce is laying in the Charleston Medical University with tubes run everywhere they could put one. The doctor looked at us and said, it's 50-50 that he'll wake up. It's 50-50 if he wakes up, he'll never be anything but a vegetable. And the doctor told us, said it'd probably be best if he just died. Now, I don't know about you. I was pastoring a church. I was a faithful double tither. I was giving to missions. I was preaching in jailhouses and nursing homes, carrying tracts in my pocket. I was doing everything I knew God wanted me to do. I was going to school, working a job, taking care of my family. I mean, I was burning it at both ends for the glory of God. But I was standing in that hospital room, me and my wife, as the doctor walked out, right in the center of God's will, as close to Him as I could be. But I was drowning right there in the boat. I mean, it was too much for me. I mean, I was filled with trouble. Trouble can fill you on the outside and fill you on the inside. They were in the boat, but they were drowning. Watch what it says now. They were filled with water and were in jeopardy. They're not only drowning, they're in danger. This is really it. They can go under. They're going to drown in the boat. I know you don't like to hear this, but God's people can die all of a sudden right in the center of God's will. I know preachers that was being used mightily of God, and you get a phone call and they just fell over dead, and you're like, what's God up to? I mean, it can get too big for you. It can get too much for you. I mean, you won't be able to carry it, and it's not something of your own imagination. These guys ain't just dreaming this up. They are really in danger. If God doesn't show up, I'm a-going under this time. I saw the halos pop out on all of his heads. You ain't never been there, but I've been in the prayer closet screaming out to God and said, God, if you don't do something this time, I'm a-going under. We're not going to get through this. We're not going to make it. We're in danger. They're drowning in the boat, and they're in danger. Now, they do the right thing. They do the right thing. Watch it now. The Bible said that they came to Him. That's always the first move. When it's over your head, when it's too much for you, come to Him. Just get to Him. Walk, run, crawl, whatever you have to do, just get to Him. You say, it's too big for me, preacher. I know. I've been there. You say, what'd you do when you stand in that room? We just got to Him. We didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know what was going to happen to our baby boy, but we said, we'll just go to Him. We'll just run to Him. We'll just climb up in His arms. We'll just hang on to Him. We'll just trust Him. And they're drowning. They're in danger. And the Bible said that they came to Him. They came to Him. They got as close to Him as they could possibly get, and they called on Him. They said, Master, Master. Looks like you're doing everything right. But not only do I see they were in danger, not only do I see they were drowning, but they were doubting. They're doing everything right. This is a plague today in the Christian life. They're doing everything right. They ran to Jesus. They called on Jesus. They said, Master, Master. What's those next two words? We perish. Now, I read somewhere in my King James Bible that God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should never perish, but have everlasting life. Got news for you. God's people can't perish. Perish means to be utterly lost. It means to be utterly destroyed. It means to be totally separated from God. I don't care how big your storm is. I don't care how much water you've taken in. I don't care how much your troubles are weighing you down. We're not going to perish, friend. The church is not going under. She's a going up at the trumpet sound. We're not going under. We're not going to perish. They were doubting. They did the right thing, but they came to him and said, we perish. Absolutely not. You're not going under. The worst thing you can do is move from this life unto the life we've been longing for. Anyway, we're not going to perish. We're going to live forever. When the world's on fire, when the devil and that crowd is flying in the lake of fire, we're going to still be alive. We'll never perish. There's no need to doubt him now. There's no need to doubt him now. He's brought us this far. We'll go all the way. That's the troubles. You'll be drowning. You'll be in danger. You'll start doubting. Lord, you ain't going to be able to get me out of this. That's what they said to him. Master, Master, you can't even help us. We perish. But I got news for you this any minute. Let's see what he does and I'll be finished. Not only do I see the truth of a Christian life and the troubles of a Christian life, but I see the testimony of a Christian life. In verse number 24 again, they said, Master, Master, we perish. Perish is what lost folk do. If you're here today and you reject Christ, you will perish. You will spend an eternity separated from God in a lake that burneth with fire. No hope, gone, totally lost. But if you put your faith and confidence in him, we shall never perish. Never perish. We're never going, hey, this world can't wait to get rid of us, and we're never going to be able to get rid of us. We're always going to be. I don't know about you, but I believe that Jesus said, if I'd believe in him, I would never die. And he that believeth in me hath everlasting, and not only everlasting, but eternal life. We shall never perish. My sheep hear my voice, and they'll never perish. I'm glad, thank God, that no matter how bad it is, just remember, we're not a going under, we're a going up. The truth, the troubles. But I want us to see the testimony. They said, Master, Master, we perish. Then he arose. It's not his storm. I believe if we could go there at this very moment and see it live and in color, the disciples are soaking wet. Water's running up her nose and in their ears, and they're choking and gagging and drowning right there in the boat, and they're crying out to him. I don't believe a drop of water has touched the Lord. I don't believe one wind's blown one hair on his head or in his beard. But they came to him and said, we're in a storm. It's our storm, and we don't know what to do with it. And if you don't do something, this is the end of us. And he arose. He arose and rebuked the winds and the raging of the water, and they ceased. There was a great calm. See, what happened was the disciples were actually in this storm. Jesus is back there asleep. They get to him and call on him, and he stands up. He arises. He gets up. I believe he walks out on the front of that ship. Now the water is pelting him. The waves are crashing into him. He's soaking wet. And now the wind's blowing his hair everywhere and his clothes everywhere. The wind's everywhere. And he walks right out there soaking wet on the end of the ship. And the Bible said that he rebuked the winds and the raging of the sea. I believe he did something like this. Walked out there on the end of that ship, went shh. The Bible said there was a great calm. Just told it, shh, cut it out. Peace, be still, and just laid down. I don't know about you, but you may be here this morning drowning. You may be in danger. You may feel like, oh, olive oil. I used to watch her on there. They'd throw her in the ocean. She'd be going under. And you think, I'm going under this time, and God can't help me. But all of a sudden, if you want to His, I'm glad, thank God, Jesus cares. That's the testimony. You may think nobody cares. Nobody cares if I go under. Nobody cares if I don't get out of this. Nobody seems to care about my spiritual condition. Nobody seems to want to help. But maybe when you think about it the least, He's going to rise. I'm glad He'll step up off His throne, step right in the middle of your storm, step right down in the middle of your valley, step right down the middle of your... That may not be doing anything for you, but it's sure enough for helping me this morning to know Jesus cares enough that He'll roll His sleeves up, get right in my storm, get soaking wet right with me, cut the heads off my giants, let the blood fly on Him, get down in my hog pen, get down with me. He cares. Jesus cares. No one ever cared for me like Jesus. He'll come to right where you are, step right in the middle of your problem. Now let me say this. He may not cure your disease. He may not pay that bill. He may not provide that you want or need. But He'll step right in your problem, and there'll be a great calm. You ever notice when He steps in, you say, well, it doesn't matter what happened. If you don't pay it, Lord, we'll just live without it. You ever notice that? You and your wife be fussing. No, well, excuse me. Me and mine's been married almost 30 years. We don't fuss. We just have moments of intense fellowship. So you have an intense fellowship because it's so important to you. God's got to do this for us. There's no way around it. Then all of a sudden He steps in, and you say, well, you know, we don't really have to have that. You know, if He doesn't heal that or cure that, I'll meet you when you get home. Funny how, I mean, not funny, but it's just amazing how people can change. Me and my wife standing in that hospital room, our hearts are breaking. That's our baby boy. He's only weeks old. Just weeks old. The doctor said it'd be better if he dies. We stood all alone. No pastor, no church members, no prayer chain praying. Nobody knows. Just me and her. I don't know what to say to her. She don't know what to say to me. I'm thinking, what in the world am I going to do if her baby boy dies? I don't know what I'm going to do with her, much less with myself. And all of a sudden, He cared so much. Two little old nobody preacher and his wife down in Charleston. Nobody even knew what was going on but us and the doctor. Our families didn't even know. Nobody seemed to care. But He stepped up off His throne, walked into that room on the 7th floor. You can believe what you want to. You couldn't have walked up and bumped me with your shoulder and it been any more real when He come into that room. I felt Him when He come in that room, walked right in between me and my wife. It seemed like He walked by and put His hand on our shoulder, and just, you know, sometimes how somebody just walk up, put their hand on your shoulder, and it'll just give you a calm. It'll just bring you back to reality. He walked in there and stepped. He put His hand on us. My wife reached over and got me by the hand, leaned over, said, did you feel that? I said, if you feel what was going on. Let me stop right here and say, we ain't saved by feelings, but I'm glad that salvation God gave me, I can feel it every once in a while. I thank God I can feel Him when He comes into a place. I can see what He does. I can hear Him speak in my heart, but I'm glad, thank God, every once in a while I can feel Him. He brushed up against me in that room. My wife got me by the hand and said, did you feel that? I said, if you knew what was going on down in my soul. I was worried about my wife. She looked at me. She said, you know what we're going to do? I said, what are we going to do? She said, God give him to us. If He wants to take him, let Him take him. We'll serve God anyway. If He leaves him here and he's a vegetable, we'll feed him, we'll clothe him, we'll change his diapers and wash him, and we'll take care of him until Jesus gets ready to take him. But we're going to serve God. You say, how did Mama do that? Jesus cares, and He stepped into our problem and brought peace that passeth all understanding, and it was calm. Testimony of a Christian is Jesus cares. Not only does He care, continuing in verse number 25, He said, He tells them, where is thy faith? Watch it now. And He said unto them, where is your faith. Jesus not only cares, but he challenges. Now, a lot of people tell me, as years I pastored and dealt with people, they'd say, well, preacher, what happened was I lost my faith. No, you didn't. No, you didn't lose it. Absolutely not. These disciples didn't lose their faith. Watch what he asked them now. He said, where is your faith? He said, your faith. You've got a possession. You've got faith. All I want to know is, where is it? Where is it? They hadn't lost it. You know where it was? It was in that storm of wind. They had faith in that raging of the waters, because they ran to him and said, Lord, Master, Master, we perish. Our faith is the wind can blow us away, and the waves can drown us and totally annihilate us. And Jesus said, where's your faith? Sometimes we forget he's in the boat. I was laying back there asleep. It wouldn't scare me a bit. And when you finally got to me, you finally realized we better go to him. I just stepped out here and told it to hush, and it got calm all of a sudden. Where's your faith? You better find out where to put your faith, because this ain't the last storm you're going to be in as long as you live. Every man born of woman's few days and full of trouble. Yea, and all they that live godly in Christ Jesus shall suffer persecution. This storm you in, it may not be your lasting. You better not have your faith in cancer. You better not have your faith in the bank. Some trust in gold, some trust in government, some trust in guns, but we will rely on the Lord our God. We'll just keep trusting him. When the bills aren't paid, we'll trust him. When things ain't going right, we'll trust him. You better know where your faith is. You better put it in him. He said, where's your faith? Because when we get to Matthew 14, you're going to be out here and I'm not going to be in the ship. And a storm's going to come up and you're going to row all night. Where's your faith going to be then? I'm going to kick the training wheels off the next time. What you going to do then? You going to trust the storm again? See, what fear is faith in the enemy. The reason they got so afraid in the storm is they had faith in the enemy. If a bully is on you at school, and you think, boy, he can do everything he said, he can really whoop me, he can break my arm. You know what it is? You got faith in what he said. Your fear is a result of your faith in your enemy. I tell you what a Christian ought to do. Come hell or high water, let the devil roar like a lion. Let trouble come in like a flood. Let the world turn on us no matter what. If God be for us, who can be against us? I think I'll just trust him. It brought me this far. I think I'll just trust him. Is everything going well in your life? Absolutely not. Are your problems solved? Absolutely not. What we going to do now? We're just going to trust him. I ask you this morning, where is your faith? The Lord is challenging you, because he's got something bigger. But if you're going to get to something bigger, you're going to have to walk through valleys and go through storms. Where is your faith? Jesus cares. Jesus challenges. And Jesus confirms. Watch this now. They being afraid wondered, saying one to another, what manner of man is this? For he commandeth even the winds and the water, and they obey him. Every once in a while, God will let you get way down low. He'll let you be drowning in your boat, overcome by the waves, so he can show up and remind you, I'm still in charge. Anytime God gets ready, he can heal your disease, he can pay your bill, he can put that back together, he can bring that wayward child home, he can do whatever he wants. At the spoken word, he can just nod his head, speak the word, but stretch forth his hand, and that'd be done. But he's more concerned about you than he is your problem. He's not worried about their storm. He's trying to grow them. Remember, he is working on us to turn us into his image, to make us more like him and less like ourselves. And every once in a while, God will let you wait till you feel like you're going under, and then he'll show up and confirm to you, I'm still in charge, I'm still in control. That's a real Christian life. I'm going to ask you, what do you think your responsibility as a Christian is? I think we burn ourselves out trying to let the world see a Christian by what we do for them. I think what we ought to do is turn our focus back to Him and do what He says. We won't have to worry about convincing that world, because I promise you, every disciple on that ship knew there's something different about this man. Everybody on the other side of the shore said, how in the world did you get through that? Glad you asked. We were drowning in the boat. We were going under. Mama and I standing in that room thinking our baby boy's going to die. And all of a sudden, a man like no other man, a God like no other God, stepped into our problem, not because we deserved it, not because He owed us anything, just because He loved us. I can't explain why, but He loved us so much. When nobody else cared, He cared, and He stepped right in. I don't know about you, but I say it again. Thank God I'm an old-time, blood-washed, born-again Bible Christian, and He's my God. I think I'll just trust Him. A clear look at the Christian life. Let's bow for prayer. Father, we're truly thankful for Your Word. I pray that we'll not miss the truths of this passage. So may the Spirit of God take the truth of Your Word and His power and the feeble effort of Thy servant and speak to our hearts for Jesus' sake. Brother, you come.